It is a fact that Exeter has the narrowest street in the world, and it is also a fact that the last person to be executed for witchcraft in England was hung in Exeter. It is also a fact that neither of these facts is true. Now that Mr. Horatio has been made healthy and well again, I can return to visiting places in my Lonely Planet guide. Today it's Exeter Castle, or Rougemont Castle, or Red Castle if you don't like the French way of saying it. It's not much of a castle, not that I want to make people in Exeter feel bad about it, but let's be honest, as castles go, it's a bit of a wall and half a gateway. There's not much left of it. Its history includes trying to ignore the Norman invasion of 1066 by hiding behind its walls in an attempt to make it all just go away, and trying to ignore King Stephen's right to rule England in the 12th century. Yes, there was a King Stephen. No, I'm not making it up. England has had a king called Stephen. There was a civil war between him and Empress Matilda, who is also someone I've not just made up. She also claimed the throne during a period known as the Anarchy, which again sounds like I've made it up, but I haven't. King Stephen besieged the castle in 1136. After 3 months the water ran out, and you're not believing a word of this, are you? Fine. I'll put a link to Wikipedia on the details below and you can check it out for yourself. Of the castle itself, I've not got much to say about it. There's a little pathway that zigzags up the side of a hill that has been made steeper by the construction of a rampart and a ditch. What you see is mostly just bits of old wall. What can you get out of that? A sense of age? Of times gone past? Are the flavours of history floating in the air? I'm not entirely sure what to make of it. There is something reassuring about the place. Possibly it's that all the terror, fear and horror of its past has been blurred by the passage of centuries, and now in the quietude of a soft autumn morning it is a more welcoming, jovial presence, like an old boxer retelling stories of old fights. If there was a mustachioed Norman lord guffawing at the fate of his freshly enslaved peasants, then he is long since gone. The Civil War armies that bled over disputes are also long since forgotten, and the kings and queens whose pride prompted such wars would, if they could, be probably wondering whether all that struggle to secure ground that is now home to a bus depot and a Sainsbury's was really worth it. It probably all felt vitally important at the time. With all the mellowing of centuries, it's hard to keep in mind that this lump of the past was a cold piece of military hardware. It was the A-10 Thunderbolt of its day, the nuclear submarine of the Middle Ages. We see it now through a romantic lens, one that even the poets and storytellers of their own time didn't try to dispel. For some, such military hardware could have been seen to be a bastion of protection for the people. It was a technological wonder, the proud badge of honour of a proud people. Alternatively, it was the spear point of power for those tax-raising chinless shitlords who thought they had the divine right to rule because they could speak French and knew how to wear feathers in their helmet without looking like a complete tit. Still, you can't blame the bards and the poets. They had to make a living, and you couldn't make a crust by writing verse about Gary the Pisspot collector. So should I be rational and see these remains as a monument to battle, war and human suffering, or should I be persuaded by the moss on the stones to slip into idle dreams of an imaginary past? I want to be on the side of the angels, of peace. But I have to say that the seduction of fair maidens looking out from towers, and shiny armour-plated knights on horseback, looking all gallant and splendid, is, well, seductive. The lovers of humanity and peace have reason on their side, but the other side? The other side have such lovely flags. They've got big fluttery flags and trumpets, feasts, camaraderie, stories of family honour, women with political cunning, and men with extraordinary beards. Even the bad guys seem favourable to the anodyne puritanism of the flower-wafting pacifists. Maybe there is something fundamentally screwed up with us as people. We know what is right and good, but we often turn away from it, not because it's too difficult and unachievable, but because it's so horribly and miserably dismal. Do you want to be in the safe space circle with a happy huggy peace brigade, or is there some part of you wanting to be trotting out of a castle with a sword on your back and an axe in your hand? We know that the latter is nonsense, but still, take a look at all those fluttering flags. It's ludicrous, ridiculous, and calls to our baser instinct. Yes, it does. But it's not dull. Oh, look, a squirrel.